Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hello everyone, I'm Jill Nicolini and so excited to finally have Dr. Laura Griffith Garland here joining us live today in our studio. She is not only a shaman, she is a Reiki master teacher, and she's here today to talk all about the ways that she can help you. And of course, I'm so excited to meet her in person.
So excited.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jill.
So we've been in contact for well over a year, but we never met in person.
Nope.
And I've gotten to know her on a personal level. This woman is amazing. Her academic background, she's a veteran physicist. I'm going to call her scientist. She knows everything about everything. And she also is here as a life coach. She does so much. So let me have you introduce yourself, please.
Well, I do a lot of things. So yes, I am a life coach. That is where I'm kind of heading mostly now, because it's a holistic approach. It helps people with their entire life instead of just doing Reiki, which is on their stress or something like that, or doing my shaman work, which is maybe with a past life or something like that. I'm really going more for the holistic approach.
Hence Charleston Holistic Center, which is the name of her company, based out of South Carolina. So,
Yes.
But she works virtually with people all over the world.
Oh,
and
yes.
not only, I have to say, she also, even though she works in a holistic environment, but she has the brains and the science behind it all. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Sure. I have my undergrad degree in engineering physics. So that degree was essentially an aerospace engineering degree, and then just a couple short courses short of a regular degree in physics, and 2 courses short of a regular degree in math. So there's all of that combined. And then I decided to completely change fields and go and get a degree in earth and planetary science. So that's what my PhD is in. And with that, I had to essentially get a whole degree in geology. So I did all of that. And during that whole time, I was also like, well, what am I going to do afterwards? I would kind of really like to teach. So I got a degree in teaching.
Degree. Of course you did.
So I did all of that. So that's all the academic background. But during that time while I was in grad school, I became an accidental shaman.
How did that happen?
Well, I had a good friend of mine. She knew I was really stressed, and she's like, we're going to go drive over the river. I was in St. Louis. So we drove over the river to Alton, Illinois, and there was this nature preserve area. I don't know exactly what it was. But anyways, I think it used to be a big piece of property with a big old house on it, but the house was gone. All that was left was a basement and a lot of property. Mostly wooded. She took me out into the woods to this basement where there was a bonfire and this guy sitting there.
Whoa.
And I'm like, okay. And he and I would just sit and have conversations. And I was young and stupid. Please, no one out there do this. Please don't. I would go out in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m., because my computer program would be running and there'd be nothing else I could do for my research. So, and I was wide awake. So I'd just drive out to the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night by myself and go walk down this path to this basement. And the guy would be sitting there with the bonfire and we'd just sit and chat.
Wow.
And we'd sit and chat, and he'd show me stuff and he'd talk to me about stuff and we'd do stuff. And I never knew his real name. I never had his phone. I don't even know where he actually lived. I one time asked him, do you come out here every night? Because I just randomly show up. He'd be like, he said, no, I just come out when you're coming.
Wow. Was that tapped into you spiritually?
Yeah. And so he showed me a lot of stuff and I learned a lot and I didn't know what it was. I had no idea until somebody introduced me to the Foundation for Shamanic Studies. Which is run by a guy named Michael Harner, who is he's a PhD in several things. I can't recall exactly what all, but And they do something called core shamanism. And so I took some of their classes and I'm like, oh, I already know this stuff.
So what actually is shamanism? Would you mind sharing?
It's hard to describe. It's not a religion like a lot of people kind of think it is. It's kind of more like Buddhism, where it's a philosophy of that nature has energy, and that energy can be considered spirit.
Okay.
And so there's a all-encompassing great spirit or God or source,
Call it what you may.
whatever
Something.
works. But you don't put it in a box. So it's very unboxed.
Okay.
There's no boxes. And the idea is that we all have energy, all kinds of energy. And with the shamanism, it really kind of focuses on our connections to each other and our connections to the world. And when we have bad connections with each other, it really messes with us. And there are people out there who make connections and then drain your energy. Most of them do it unconsciously. They're trying to fill some void, something that went wrong in their life. And so they drain your energy. And that's just, it's not good. It drains your energy. So a shaman will remove that connection. And as you well know, because I know you're empathic,
That's what she says, yeah.
You pick up on people. And if you pick up on it too much, you can get junk stuck to
and
you.
hence we know good people. And now that we're here in person, I mean, I've always felt it, but really I have to say that this is amazing to meet you. And it's all part of the is it like a karmic path that we were meant to be.
I think so,
here
yes.
together. And two good spirits connecting.
Yes.
And I love it.
I love it.
So
Absolutely
if there was
love
a
it.
bad energy with us, we wouldn't be here, right?
No, absolutely
We
not.
never would have hit it off.
Oh, no, we would not have hit it
No,
off. Not at all. Not at all. And so a shaman works with the energy.
Okay.
And we also, try to balance the natural world. So I do my own personal work to try to make Charleston a nicer place.
And people, better people.
And
right?
better people. And really help other people understand how they're interacting. And most people are empaths of some sort. They just shut it down or turn it off or block it, but then it'll seep through. And we haven't had the best energy nationwide or worldwide the last
Almost 3 years.
yeah.
Okay.
And so that kind of energy has really been pressing on people. And I teach people how to shield that so that you don't pick up on it as much. So it doesn't make you
Absorb into us and make us not feel good.
Yeah, make you sick or make you crazy, because it can do either. It can make you feel like you're nuts because you're like, why do I feel this way? Why am my emotions like this? I don't understand it. When what you're actually picking up is the stuff that's outside of you. And so you think you're going nuts.
But it can be drained in a sense.
Oh,
it can
yeah.
be released.
Yep.
And you can feel good. You It
Yeah.
can be fixed.
Exactly. And that's the whole point.
But now your work as a shaman, this is where I get confused. Because you're also a Reiki master, and for those that may not know what Reiki is, would you mind discussing that? And
Sure.
I've never met a Reiki master who's also a shaman, so you're unique again in that aspect.
Right. Reiki is energy work specifically from a gentleman from Japan.
Yusui?
Yes. Yes.
I remember.
Yes. He, as far as I can tell, kind of went around the Far East and studied a lot of stuff and realized there was this whole energy that we all have. And he was Japanese. So the Japanese, particularly at his time, really liked their things very nice and neat and tidy and put in boxes, especially at that time frame. And so he developed a system putting everything in a nice, neat box and package. And so we have Reiki, which comes from Japan, has some weird sounding names and stuff that goes with it because it's from Japan. But it's all energy work.
Okay.
But like I said, it's kind of boxed and packaged. Shamanism really works with exactly the same sort of energy, but is much less packaged. It's not in a box.
Okay.
So there was a woman who realized shamanism and Reiki were a lot the same, and she developed a thing called Shamanic Reiki. I was kind of doing that already before I realized, oh, hey, there's a thing out there called that. And did her course, and again, knew pretty much everything already, but she put it together in a nice package, again, so that it's teachable.
Yeah.
Shamanism is not easily taught for the whole thing.
You need to feel it, understand it, and work with the guy in a bonfire in a basement. But that is awesome.
Yeah, and so it really, they mesh really very well, and the two different paths allow me to do so much with my clients. So very much. The shamanism allows me to do like past life retrievals and soul retrievals. And the Reiki just truly helps me clean up all your chakras and get those all clean so that your energy is flowing really nicely. And then you put them all together, and then you can get all of your past junk cleaned up and keep your current junk cleaned up.
So is it true some of us today, have problems that really, we think we know what's wrong and we can't, and then he's like, well, I can't figure it out, and you can't get to it. But so you're telling me, so in a past life, maybe we had some sort of problem. Could you explain it to us?
Yeah.
What, for example, a past life regression is, and how you go back and tap into that, and how that can benefit someone.
Sure. And I actually technically do a past life retrieval.
Okay.
Yep. My husband, who is a counselor and hypnotist, he's master hypnotist. He does past life regression. He actually learned how to do that from one of the world masters with that. So he does regression. I do retrieval.
Win-win.
Regression is you actually go back, like it's a hypnosis, deep hypnosis process, and you go back and you're there and you live it, which can be disconcerting to say the least.
The benefits of both, I'm sure, and drawbacks.
Yes. So he gets a lot of people who just want to do explore, like what is a life? And so he gets to go back and they have a happy life or a decent life or a normal life, blah, 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 blah. Me, I'm specifically going back because there's a problem. Like you said, there's something going on, an issue.
Retrieve it.
Yeah, there's an issue and you're like, my childhood was fine. I don't have it, there's nothing there. I didn't mess up when I was a teenager. There were no mean girls. Yeah. So, but I have this big issue. I don't know. And when it's something like that, it's often a past life. And so I go back to find the past life where that issue kind of started. And if it's an issue, it's not because you had a really happy past life. It's because something went wrong. So I've seen a lot of warlords take over villages. Landslides bury people, earthquakes, rape and pillage.
Unfortunate. Clearly.
Slavery, all kinds of things that just happen not so good to people. But I go back and look at that life and whatever nasty thing that happened causes actually a soul loss usually. And so I'll describe that.
Sure.
A soul loss can happen in a past life or can happen in this life, and it's usually due to trauma. Pretty much always due to trauma. So in that past life, the trauma, a little chunk of your soul or a bigger chunk leaves you. And this is normal. Psychology calls it dissociation. So they actually have a name for it in Western psychology, dissociation. So a chunk of you leaves to go be safe. And that's the whole point of it. It's to go be safe. And usually the peace comes back. You get some sort of comfort. The situation ends. You feel safe again, so the peace comes back. But sometimes you can't get comfort. You don't feel safe. the trauma was so bad, or there's a repeated trauma of something completely else that happens too quickly afterwards, and then the piece doesn't come back. So in a past life, big trauma, the piece goes away and doesn't come back. So I bring it back to the past life and to this life, because you're still the same soul. And that's where it gets complicated. But my guides tell me that it quantum echoes through the timeline. No, I can't tell you exactly what that means.
She's quantum echo. Now she's losing me here. See, she's got that the science, the medicine, the brain, and Western medicine knowledge, and then also the Eastern. I mean, you're the holistic. You're the full package.
That's what we try. That's what we try.
I love that about you, because you could see things in two different.
Right.
And let's be honest. There's some people out there who think some of this energy healing is all woo-woo, is all. It's not.
No.
And it's good to have someone here who has that background as well.
Right.
That also believes in it.
Yeah, yeah. And it is, there's woo-woo to it. The problem that we have right now is just that modern science can't explain all of it.
So therefore they're going to say, nah,
and
don't listen.
And
I'm not going to validate you.
it's very odd, but the culture, there's a whole aspect of, no, we're not going to go there. And I've never figured out, not trying to go into conspiracy theory, I've never figured out whether it's just we don't like change, or whether there's some money driving some of, if we did this, then we wouldn't have to spend all the money on that. I don't know.
Got it.
That's
a whole nother show.
But there really is a really odd culture out there that just won't talk about this. And, but interestingly, if you look in the medical literature, there's study after study after study. I mean, in Nature, in Science, in JAMA, Journal of the American Medical Association, of these studies, or in the Journal of Psychology Today, there are these studies about energy healing, energy medicine. They don't exactly call it that, but there's studies about it. Johns Hopkins Medical University, off and on have used Reiki practitioners in their facility, because a lot of times when you go in for surgery or something, they have to take you off all your meds. Yeah. And especially if it's a blood pressure med. Ooh, whoops. Ooh. But Reiki is shown to lower your blood pressure.
All this is.
And I see it with my clients. I have on my intake form, do you have low blood pressure? Because if they've been on my table for an hour, first off, they've been laying for an hour.
Yeah.
But the Reiki literally lowers your blood pressure. And when I first started out, I literally had to catch two little gals because they stood up and then blacked out because they had low blood pressure to begin with. And then it lowered it so much. Wow. And I literally had to catch them.
So luckily, there's proof out there. There's studies about this working. And I probably told you this before, but when my mom was sick with lung cancer 5 years ago, we took her to Sloan Kettering in New York City, right?
Right.
Huge hospital. Everybody's heard of Sloan, just like Johns Hopkins. And when you go to the website, part of their services, they offer Reiki healing. And I got goosebumps. I'm like, well, I didn't know what it was. Unfortunately, my mom passed too quick. We never got to take advantage of it. But I mean, the goosebumps are still there. Yeah. The fact that this energy healing can help someone. Right. All right. We're not talking, but hold on. We can't use the word cure, but there has been people that talk about energy healing actually curing or fixing themselves, but it can help with pain. With what are some of the things that this can help people with?
When I put the Reiki and shamanism together, I've worked with arthritis patients. I have a gal who comes in every winter, and her hands have done this, with the arthritis. And every time she leaves, and it's just an hour session, she writes me a check. And before that, her hands are like that. She can't write. There's no way for her to even pick up a pen.
That's her way of guaranteeing payment. Make sure it worked. Now I can open my hand to use the pen. No. Yeah. But in all honesty,
she writes me
amazing.
A check. She writes me a check.
And she feels great.
She feels great. I have a gal who comes in and has done this. She's like, takes a selfie when she comes in and does a half an hour treatment and takes a selfie, she looks 5 years younger. Wow. Because the stress just drains away. I have clients who have cancer, and I work with them. Sometimes it's simply to ameliorate the symptoms of, like they're doing chemo, and really try to work with the symptoms of that. Other times we're really working with them, with their doctor, on the alternative therapy so that they don't have to do chemo or radiation or something like that, because they just don't want to. And it helps. It helps tremendously. And I've got a gal right now, and went back and did one of the past life retrievals. And I don't know whether I can say this, but well, we can always cut it. Her uterine tumor shrank after the past life retrieval. I'm not. I can tell you that the past life was really not good, really not good, and had a lot to do with that region of her body. And after the retrieval, the tumor has shrunk, and it stayed shrunken.
Well, I've also heard of stories of women who have trouble conceiving, infertility, and they're going to a Reiki master or shaman, and within weeks they can get pregnant. I mean, you hear this. How is that possible?
Well, I have to say, I have had 2 clients. They weren't in specifically for that treatment, but they had done IVF and it hadn't stuck, and they just came in because of the stress. And I also do tarot cards, so they came in for a joint thing. I do tarot and then I do Reiki. So I do the tarot, figure out kind of what blockages are going on, and then we go do the Reiki and work on them. And I said in my tarot reading, and I didn't know that they were actually undergoing IVF. I said to both of these gals, I said, well, because I always tell people, if it comes up, if you're not wanting to get pregnant right now, then you need to make sure that you're prepared to not do that, or, well, it's coming up. And these gals both looked shocked at me, and I did not know why, because they didn't say anything about the IVF. And then I put them on the Reiki table and just was doing, clearing and clearing everything up. And in one case, it was 4 weeks later she called and said she was pregnant.
Oh my goodness.
In the other, it was 3 months. I don't know whether it was me.
No.
I do know that the one it was 3 months, I told her she had to go on vacation. She needed to go on vacation. And maybe it was simply all of the stress finally getting
relaxing, and the release
finally getting released. But when she laid there, I worked on getting rid of the stress out of her body and getting rid of the blocks, because we put so many energetic blocks in ourselves. We just do. It's all those tapes we play in our head, and from stuff that somebody said to us when we were 3 or when we were 12 or when we were 22 or, we put those tapes in our head, and then that, because we are an energetic system, it goes from our head to the energy, and then we keep thinking it long enough, we keep having the same biochemistry, the same bioenergetic chemistry, and eventually it can create a problem. And so that's what happens. And so I think, with the Reiki, what it does is it cleans that all up. It's not that they couldn't get pregnant. It was that the energy just was blocking it at the time.
It's amazing. Is there another story or two you want to share of a client that had some great results from this energy healing that you do?
Sure. Let me think for a second.
Sure.
There's been so many over the years. I had a client just last year who was having severe anxiety. Couldn't get in to see a counselor because they're
Booked and overwhelmed from COVID, from everyone's anxiety and stress being up, obviously.
My husband is booked.
And he's booked solid.
We've got people who've been on a wait list for 18 months. And so couldn't get in to see him, couldn't get in anywhere else in town. So I said, hey, I do this, come in, see me. She had no idea. She's like, well, I got to get some relief. I'm like, well, we'll talk a little. Yeah. Maybe we'll do some life coaching. I'll do some Reiki for you. We'll work on this. She came in, her anxiety was through the roof. She's an empath.
Ah, so she's feeling
picking
up everyone else's energy and turmoil and stress on top of her own.
Exactly. And she had little kids who were in school, not in school, were in school, not in school, and it was making her older child a little neurotic.
Oh, that's making all the kids nuts. Yeah. And the parents guilty. Yeah. Mine are 5 and 7. I know. It hasn't been easy.
Exactly. Sometimes they're in school. Sometimes they're out of school, especially.
And making the arrangements with the work and the job, and how can you manage both? And you got to sacrifice. It's a lot.
Exactly. So the poor gal was doing exactly that. And by herself, and like you do. And it was just, her anxiety was through the roof. And she was like, I think I might have to get committed.
Have a nervous breakdown.
Yeah. And so came in, we did some discussion. I taught her how to do some shielding, how to ground and center and get her energy into herself, and to ask herself the question, am what I feel... bad English. We'll try that. Is it what I'm feeling now? Is this me or not me? Like, is there a reason for it to be me, or is this not me? Yeah. And that's really the question that you have to ask. Is this me or is it not me? And got her to start asking that question and realizing that a lot of what she was feeling, not her. She lives in a particular area of town where there were a lot of COVID deniers. Okay, and she was not. And so her and her neighbors were not getting along really well. So she was picking up on all of this.
Now, did you know she was an empath before coming in, or did you feel it?
No, I feel it.
One empath to another. You said to her, and she was probably like, how did you know? Yeah. Or did she not know? And you
she really didn't know.
Like, this is why and what.
Yeah, she really didn't know, because she's actually a lawyer in town. So, very
rigid, strict, professional, you would think.
Right.
Who may not believe in this holistic.
Yeah. But she was desperate.
You opened her eyes to it.
She was desperate. So she listened because I wasn't just the woo-woo.
Sure. No.
Because I could explain to her the energy terms in terms of science, and talk about it in terms of the science. So then she accepted it. So then she started being able to be like, me, not me. Oh, wait, I need to work on that thing that she called that shield thing.
Yeah.
and within 3 weeks, she no longer felt like she needed to go put herself into the Institute of Psychiatry for overnight.
That's a good feeling, especially as a mom.
Yeah. And
therefore become a better lawyer, better parent, it's like a trickle-down effect.
Exactly. Or a ripple. I like to see it as ripples, because she was then better with her kids, so she could help her older son not be so neurotic, and then she had better relation with her neighbors because she just didn't plug in, and then then each of her clients in their circles, so helping just ripples.
Feeling better, work becoming, more in tune with work now and feeling better. That's going to exponentially increase that ripple.
And, her doctor had given her some prescription for her anxiety. Not that it was helping, because it wasn't her. It was the outside.
And the energy that was being brought in.
And so she got off of that right away, and she drops in every 6 to 8 weeks for just a little tune-up because life is life and there's
Yeah.
just junk everywhere. So she comes in for a little tune-up, and now she's doing so much better. And I taught her a particular breathing technique that she then taught her son. Her son apparently taught his teacher.
And
the
goes
whole
the ripple
class,
effect.
and the whole
growing even
class.
further.
So they were all doing this breathing technique, and I think I've talked with you about it. It's really super easy. You just breathe in for 5 seconds and breathe out for 5 seconds. The first 3 times of breathing in for 5 seconds, everybody's like, after 2 seconds, going.
I'm trying. You can't do it now because you have to talk. I'm like,
yeah. But after about the third breath in, you get it. And if you just do that, there's so much science behind what that simple technique can do. So much. It literally changes your physiology if you do it every day. In 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
and everyone's like, I don't have time. I'm too busy. You
3
have 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
And you just breathe in for 5 seconds and breathe out for 5 seconds, repeat. And by the end of the 3 minutes, you're going to swear that like something's wrong with your watch. If you're doing it on your watch, like time has slowed down or something's gone wrong, because you're like, no, that wasn't 5 seconds.
Yeah.
That was only 2.5 seconds or something. But it's really amazing because it shifts what's going on in your heart muscle.
Mm-hmm.
When you breathe properly, it literally shifts what's going on in your heart muscle. Your heart muscle has the 4 chambers, and each of the chambers are supposed to, all the fibers squish at the same time, right? And they go around in their little pattern. And by the time we're teenagers, that's not quite happening anymore. Like some of the fibers don't squish properly. They don't contract. And so the nice little, perfect little jagged pattern that you're supposed to have starts to get little extra blips in it. And this is just what happens.
Getting
Stress.
older, diet,
Yeah.
stress,
Yeah. Diet.
Alcohol.
Stress. Yeah. All of it.
toxins.
Caffeine, cigarettes, all of it. All of it. And so the muscle isn't as efficient. It's nowhere near as efficient. And we want our heart to be efficient. It's much better for your heart to be efficient. So that breathing actually shifts it so that the heart starts to have, the fibers all start to contract all at the same time better, and your pattern goes back to the way it's supposed to be when you're a little kid. And also when you're a little kid, your heart rate speeds up and slows down as you breathe. And it's supposed to do that a lot. It's called heart rate variance.
She's so smart, isn't she? Love her.
It's supposed to do it.
I gotta take notes. Smart.
Yeah. It's supposed to do it a lot. But as we get older, that heart rate variance, the high speed of the heart, slow speed of the heart, closes. And again, this is not as efficient. It's not as efficient. This breathing increases the heart rate variability. So we're making your heart younger if you breathe 3 minutes a day.
Amazing. Now, people here watching, getting to know you, they might be out there saying they feel something's just not right. They're stuck, not able to advance in their career, in their lives, and it's kind of like a pattern they're seeing.
Yep.
No, because some people might be saying, well, how could you be of service?
Sure.
Can Dr. Laura Griffith Garland help me? With what aspects?
All kinds.
All kinds.
But that is a lot of my life coaching clients.
Okay, great. So
They
tell
are
us about that, because
they
now
are
as a
stuck.
life coach, you're helping people become unstuck.
Yes.
But at the same time, you also have this energy healing background, the science background, that it's like the triple effect, the trifecta. Yeah.
And that is exactly what it is being able to put it all together. Because so many people are feeling stuck, especially COVID made a lot of people sit there and go, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? And 3 years later, they're still asking the same question because we don't know what we're doing with our life. But that's what I help you with. I help you figure out what it is to do with your life, what your passion is, and where you can use that. Sometimes your passion is you want to shift jobs and do that as your passion. That's some people. But some people, that may or may not really work for them. So you may have your day job where it's just a job. You go in, you do your thing. You do it well, because if you don't do it well, you feel crappy about yourself. So you learn it's good to do it well, whatever it is, but then your passion is what you do on the side. And you know, maybe it's be at the homeless shelter, maybe it is doing something with energy work. Maybe it is volunteering, doing a bunch of different volunteer, whatever your passion is. Maybe it's photography, maybe it's, I don't know, you can have a zillion. But you may do that on the side. A lot of people get confused and think if it's your passion, you must do it as your career. And sometimes that's just not the way it's going to work for you. It just may not work that way. Or it may not work that way right now. So we get you unstuck by figuring out a pathway forward and what that means. And everybody's different. Everybody's different. That's the thing about my life coaching is it's geared toward you, the individual, not people generically.
It's not a one-size-fits-all type of program.
No.
You have that initial intake call, which, by the way, you do offer a free call, which sometimes probably lasts a lot longer, right? Because she talks a lot, but in a good way. And she's willing to give you that time, extra energy, and effort because you care. She's just a good person. So they can reach out to you, and you have the initial discussion, and then that's when you figure out the protocol, in a sense.
Yes.
And just curious, I know life coaching is different for everyone, but is there a certain amount of time normally it takes to help fix someone, to change someone's life? Like
I usually work, I usually say, let's give it 3 months. I usually do every other week.
Okay.
So, you know, that's
Perfect.
that's 6 or 7 sessions, depending on how every other week falls.
Okay. And these are on Zoom, or on phone call Zooms, or
if they're not local, then it's Zoom. And well, technically we use a different program, but
but same
it's
concept,
like Zoom.
where we're seeing each other, like
yes, and
call it FaceTime, call it Skype, call it what you may.
It's HIPAA protected, so that you can't be bombed and all of that. Yeah,
even better.
Yeah, exactly. So we do that if you're not local. If you're local, sure, come in and see me.
Yeah.
Although even during COVID, we were still not doing that. But I say give it 3 months, because if you want to change your life, it takes a little while. Yeah. Change is not instantaneous, no matter how much we would really love that. It's just not. And so we work on whatever it is you need. And usually during that time frame, you're going to get either at least one soul retrieval or one past life retrieval, or both.
Wow.
I will do Reiki for you every session while we're working.
All inclusive package.
And you know, sometimes we do tarot readings in there, you know, whatever it is that you need done.
Great. And speaking of tarot readings, I know we want to talk a little bit about that. So every time we get to speak, she pulls from a deck of cards.
I do.
Could you tell us what a tarot reading even is, and the cards?
Sure.
So speaking of tarot, I want to find out a little bit more about what you do specifically. What is a tarot card or oracle card reading?
Sure.
Glad you brought them.
I did. I have my normal deck. This is the deck I read professionally with. I've been using not this precise deck, but this type of deck since 1995. Yeah. And so I've been reading with these for quite a long time. And the idea is they're just a picture.
Yeah. Well, what is it? And it says something on each picture. How does it work?
My cards only just tell me what the specific card is. Like a regular playing deck, you look at it, you know, it's a 2 of hearts or something like this. This says 2 of cups. So that's what this one is.
There's meaning behind every card.
Every card has upwards of a dozen meanings.
Okay.
So you can get a tarot card reading online where the computer just picks the cards for you, but then all it does is list you a paragraph of all of these meanings. It doesn't actually pick out the meaning that's right for you. And so when I lay out a spread, I have to interpret what the meaning is.
You could feel it in a sense? You can feel the energy of the person you're reading for?
I do. Wow. Yeah, I feel the energy, and I have to pick out it has to make a story. It has to hang together and make a story. And so that's what I do. I make a story out of all the cards and how they relate to each other. When we usually talk, I actually pull from something called Soul's Journey cards, which...
Yep, I see them all the time.
Yes.
She holds them up there on the screen.
Which have really beautiful cards with specific phrases on them. And this gives me talking points.
Well, can we do a little tarot card reading here today?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Do you want to do these or these? Which do you want to do?
I want to do the ones you're most comfortable with. So I'm going to go
I
back
don't care.
I'm going to your original deck.
All right. Then we'll just do a quick shuffle because I did shuffle these earlier. And I will let you cut these.
Thank you so much.
Just cut in half. All you got to do is cut them in half.
And then
just leave
put
them
back together or leave them
No,
separate?
you can just leave them.
Okay.
And then we'll just do 3 and see what we got. See, there's the karma card.
Karma! Yay! I knew it.
So we got the karma card, the 6 of cups, and the 5 of cups. So karma is talking about karma for us. Yes. The 6 of cups is nostalgia. We've gone and talked a lot about background stuff, but we've also gone into the feelings of all of that. And then our 5 of cups here actually played into one of the cards that I got this morning.
You got those 3.
Yeah, I got failure, but failure is never a failure. And what I was going to talk about with that, if we went with it, was that every time we fall down, it's not the falling down that's important. It's the getting back up. And so no matter what is happening, it's so important for us to get back up right now. No matter how stuck we're feeling, no matter how sad something is, no matter how something has gone not great, we get back up. And that was definitely the thing they wanted me to put.
And they wanted to talk about some other things too. So give me,
Sure.
I say they, as in what is it? Spirit? Is it energy?
Sure.
Right? Because some people are like, what does she mean they? And
Yeah, I don't
explain
even know.
that concept.
I go with
There's guides and the spirit guides, and this all gets confusing.
It does. I say they. I go with source, and then source's guides who interact with me. Like interacting directly with source. No, a little much. But there are guides, spirit guides that work with me, and so they came up with trust, gratitude, and failure today. And actually, it was failure, gratitude. Yeah, let's put it the right way. So the whole thing this morning was trust on what's going to happen. There is no such thing as failure. So even if I didn't say everything perfectly today, there's no such thing as
we all
failure.
make mistakes, but wow, this is truly to you. Trust in the faith that you're here with us in person, and amazing. Then the failure, just be careful. It's like, okay, you might feel like you're feeling, but you're not. Okay.
Yeah.
And then
gratitude. I'm so grateful for you.
I'm so grateful for you too.
You've been so lovely with everything, and everybody's been so lovely. So, and then it was so funny when this came up that karma came up.
Which we talked about in the beginning, the fact that we've been karmically put together for over a year now, talking and learning about each other. And you know, it's not just when we talk about, you know, how she can help you. It's also, there's this relationship and bond that I feel with you. And I get to meet you in person today, and everything's come full circle.
Exactly.
In a sense, right?
Exactly. And then the 5 came up, meaning I had to pull these out because I had pulled them out and I had to talk about them. So it always works out.
Now, do you do just tarot card readings as well for someone? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother separate entity of what you do. Or you can also involve it in the life coaching.
Yeah, I get a lot of people who will just come in for a tarot reading, and then I'm like, look at their life, and I'm like,
I feel this.
You're a little stuck here. That's why you came in. You're stuck. Would you like to actually work through this? And it's never high pressure. It's never salt. Yuck,
Yeah.
yuck. That's just terrible energy.
Not you. Yeah.
No, but when somebody comes in and I do a reading and they've got things going on in their life and they just don't know how to move forward, then I suggest, hey, let's see if we can help you move forward. It becomes lovely. But I have plenty of people who are like in town for vacation because Charleston's a vacation spot. Mm-hmm. And, they Google it something and they find me and they'll just pop in and I'll do a reading for them. And it's just really kind of really fun. And I even do like bachelorette parties.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, that's always just a blast with the ladies. Although these days you never know if it's just ladies.
Exactly. Everything is yep.
Yep.
Hey, I had a baby shower with men at it too. I believe in hey, it doesn't matter which end you or I keep everyone together. So co-ed it is for me.
Yeah, it was.
All are welcome.
The last one was co-ed, and it was a blast. It was an absolute blast. But so lots of different ways that I can work with people. Lots of different ways I can help. And, you don't have to do a long-term commitment. Mm-hmm. It could be a 30-minute Reiki session.
Well, let me also bring this up. One thing we didn't mention is that you're also a veteran. You were in the Navy. Can you just tell us a little about that? Because I know that's what brought you to Charleston. That's really significant.
Yes. Yes. When I graduated with my PhD, I had a couple of job offers. Not that they really had much in the way of money.
Did they ever in the beginning? No? But you follow your passion, right? And it leads you.
and I had the Navy recruiter had sent me some sort of package, and I had literally tossed it in the corner. And then, 3 different things happened. I can't remember what the other 2 were, but then I ended up pulling that package back up, and I was like, every single male in my father's generation served.
Wow.
All of them. But out of the 27 cousins, only 1 served. And so, now granted, a lot of them most of my cousins are female and most are significantly older than I am. So I completely understand not serving. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because it can be tough. And, but then I was like, I think I should serve. And so there was that packet, and the next thing I know, I'm teaching nuclear physics.
Yep. The multifaceted Dr. Laura Griffith Garland. She does it all, really. And with all your expertise, your knowledge, your background, there's so much to you that you have to offer. So if someone does want to reach out with you to work with you, would you mind sharing your website and contact information as well? Sure.
You can call the office directly at 843-259-8349. You can email drlaura.coach, so drlaura.coach@gmail.com. Or you can go to our website. Actually have 2 different websites. There's a overarching website. That's the charlestonholisticcenter.com. So www.charlestonholisticcenter.com. Oh, yeah, long. I know.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
We got that ages ago, when
Charleston,
you did that.
Reiki and Tarot.
Yes,
I know
and
that
that's
one
the
very
other.
well,
That's the other website is charlestonreikiandtarot.com. Also.
Yeah, it can't hurt. Reach out. She's offering you a free consultation. I mean, it can't hurt to talk with her to see if she could be of service to you. And thank you for the service to our nation. My goodness. All the accolades. You are just so unique, and I think that's what makes you stand out, because I speak to a lot of life coaches, a lot of energy healers, but you really are the full package, that full card, that full deck over there. You really are. And I'm so grateful we got to be here in person today. So thank you so much. Pleasure always talking to you. And please, everyone, reach out. Dr. Laura Griffith Garland, again, Charleston Holistic Center, based out of Charleston, South Carolina. But the best part about it is you can work with her anywhere. So you don't have to be from her hometown. But it's great to see her in person if you can. So again, thank you for today. And thank you all for joining us. Looking forward to the next time we meet.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.